As NASCAR entered the 80s, the times they were a-changing. There were new faces and names to compete with the old guard, and stakes became higher as corporate America discovered the incredible power of NASCAR. Winston and RJR increased purses across the board, but in 1985, they took it to a whole new level and raised the stakes another notch by putting up a cool $1 million for the driver who could win 3 of the 4 crown jewels of racing: the Daytona 500, the Winston 500 at Talladega, the World 600 at Charlotte, and the Southern 500 at Darlington, the track too tough to tame. The oldest, fastest, and perhaps the most difficult race on the schedule. Win 3 or 4, and you took home the Winston Million. Folks, take it from me, every driver gave it a lot of thought. Enter 29-year-old Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott, true country boy who hit the big time driving for Harry Mellon. He started out the 1985 season winning the Daytona 500 and setting himself up for the biggest payday in NASCAR history. 3 months later, the Shy Redhead averaged a blistering 186.788 miles per hour as he took the checkered flag at the Winston 500 at Talladega. Oh, he was fast that year, all right. In the days before NASCAR slowed things down with restrictor plates on the engine, Awesome Bill sat on the pole that year with a one-lap speed of almost 210 miles per hour. Now, it looked like he was going to take home that $1 million RJR check a few weeks later at Charlotte in May of that year. And he was on his way to victory when a blown master cylinder ended his dream that day. But folks, that's racing. Finally, Labor Day came, the Southern 500 in Darlington. The pressure may have been on, but Bill put his foot down and qualified on the pole, which only added to the pressure with the fans and the media. The whole world was watching this unprecedented event in the history of stock car racing. One race, $1 million. One quiet country boy set out to do what he did best: drive a race car. And folks, did he drive that day? Once inside the car, there was no pressure, only one determined driver.
The white flag is coming up this time around. You can see the fans urging him on. Bill Elliott has just 1.366 miles to go. Elliott around turn number 1. There's Bernie Elliott, the man who makes all the decisions down in the pit area. Elliott is out of turn number 2. He's down the backstretch. Bill Elliott, at this historic old race plant, is running in the tire track to people like Johnny Mance, who won the first race back in 1950 here. Bonnie Flop, Buck Baker. Bill Elliott is racing into the record books. Bill Elliott is going toward immortality. Bill Elliott gets the checker flag. Bill Elliott has won an additional $1 million in 1985.
Well, I was sitting in New York at the end of '84 thinking, man, that'd be great just to be able to go for it. I'd never won at Daytona. I'd never won at some of the places. And here I go, win Daytona, win Talladega, and then win at Darlington. I think when that race was over, win, lose, or draw, it was definitely relief. And it was tough to prepare for because I went through the same circumstance at Charlotte, 5 months earlier, and it was kind of a total disaster.
A lot of people were pulling for him. He's immensely popular. But they didn't think he was going to win it because he came here, came to Charlotte. The 600 was chance winning. And just absolutely caved in under the pressure, and he admits it today. It got to him, all the media attention, and not the money. It was just he wanted to work on his car, and people were dragging him away for interviews and personal appearances and all this. Went to Darlington, a few people thought he'd win it. Had 4 or 5 South Carolina state troopers surrounding his bodyguards down there. He said, no way, no way. But he drove a great race, got 3 tremendous breaks that day. He again, as I recall, had 17-second lead, and his engine blew. Then Earnhardt spun off turn 2. There was one of those big multi-car wrecks over there, and Elliott missed him. He couldn't have missed him more than a couple of inches, and that would have sidelined both of them. And then as the race wound down, he's trailing Cale Yarborough, who's trying to win his first Southern 500, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, he's trailing Cale right on his bumper, and all of a sudden there's a plume of smoke out of Yarborough's car. It looked like a crop duster, and Elliott somehow got through the smoke and got on around him, and Cale had to make a very quick pit stop. Power steering line had come loose, and Elliott held him off to win the $1 million first year of Winston Million. the first year it was offered, only time it's ever been done. And funny thing, they were showering him with $1 million bills with his picture on them, phony $1 million bills in Victory Lane. And those things are collector's items. He spelled his name wrong.
An incredible performance. The win sealed his legend as Awesome Bill and made him to this day one of the most beloved drivers in racing. He's won the most popular driver award 10 times. Fans just love the idea of a plain-speaking, unassuming driver who seemed a lot like them winning that $1 million.
To the people in the 1980s, Bill Elliott was the average American makes good. In other words, they didn't come from money. They worked for what they had. They sometimes had a dozen people in one hotel room, but yet they continued to work hard, and they reached their goal, and they reached their dream. And I think when people get down in life every day, whether it be work or personal, if they can have someone out there that they can look to and say, you know, that person went through all this and they still made it, that gives a person hope. And the Elliott story is one of hope and happiness. It's kind of like the fairy tale that had a good ending.
Now, speaking of legends, one of Bill's biggest rivals in the 80s was a man who was certainly a legend in his own right, the Intimidator, Ironhead. His name's Dale Earnhardt. And in the mid-80s, he earned his nicknames and laid the foundation of his own legend.